to be a part of this evening's discussion. Again, thank you all very much for joining us. This is your voice in the community, thought that get results. With regard to your participation in the show, we encourage you to call in on the numbers listed 1-869-469-1616 and 1700. Here's a suggestion. You have a question or comment, but you get a pencil, piece of paper, write it down so that you're well organized, and we'll get in the show. It'll take as little time as possible so we can accommodate as many of you as we can. We ask only, first of all, you respect yourselves and then respect others, because we will not accept anything we deem that's not within our broadcast standards. But we encourage you to always be forceful with your point. You can also follow this live stream or video streaming on our YouTube channel at Vaughn Radio, on our Facebook page at Vaughn Radio. Tonight, 2 segments. First, the returning nationals. They have organized themselves in a group, organization, or society, maybe one, maybe all 3. We will find out in just a bit. And we're here, we spoke with them before. We're always eager to speak with them, so we'll be speaking with some representative tonight. Linnell Nolan, good evening.
Good evening, Webbo.
And Mrs. Meredith Amory Field, it's good to see you once more as well. Good evening.
Good evening, Webbo.
Okay, so we're here under a different heading. Sometimes I'm speaking to you on different headings, right? Nurse, Mrs. Amory Field is a nurse, and also Mr. Linnell Nolan is 100 other things, right? Right, Nolan?
A number of other things.
So under the heading of returning nationals, and that signifies, obviously, that if you're representing them, that you are one of those as well, right?
That's right.
Okay, so again, good evening, and good evening to all the returning nationals who are here and those who are not here. We'd like to let you know how much we appreciate you. So why don't we tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can get into the full discussion. So let's do it that way.
Well, Webbo, the returning nationals is a group mostly of persons who have been abroad and have returned to Nevis. We also have members who have not been abroad, but who support our cause. And so we usually have our monthly meetings. We assist our society in many ways, and later on we'll discuss some of those ways. And so first, maybe I should have said good evening to all who are listening to us, whether here on Nevis or overseas. And it's a pleasure being here talking to you as the president of the organization. So we do assist in so many ways, and we will talk about those later, as I said. And I'll let Meredith give her introduction, then we'll get further into it.
Good evening to the viewing and listening audiences. As you heard, I'm Meredith Amory Field, and I am the present secretary of the society, and I am a returnee. As you heard Linnell said, that persons who have not been abroad can become members. But I came back from living overseas, and I enjoy being amongst the persons. We have fun, lots of fun, and there's lots of activities which we do, which we will talk about later.
The returning nationals organizing themselves in a group, and then in America, everything you say an interest group. Why do you think that you did that? What was the idea behind so let us band ourselves together under this group? Because some left Nevis and they went to England, some went to Canada, some went to the Virgin Islands. So it's not a matter that everybody were in the same place and they used to converge all the time. It encompasses everybody. Am I correct?
Yes. Initially, Webbo, we had persons who returned from England, and there were a fair number of persons who had retired and returned from England. And those were the persons who actually started meeting. And they started since 2004, and they would meet at Ocean View Guest House and Restaurant up at Charles Road in Nevis, Newcastle, Nevis. And they would meet, and they did meet on a monthly basis where they would socialize. And it was so important that, you know, they would get together, socialize, discuss what's taking place, both here and overseas, like spreading the news about what's happening on Nevis and also what was taking place in England. And even though it was an English group, eventually it was broadened to persons other than the English group. So they continued meeting, having their dinners, and would sit down, socialize, and they did raise funds, and some of the funds they raised, they assisted in our community at large here on Nevis. And it's not that they didn't want other people to be part of it. We had persons like Richard Henry, Clem Ward, Pearline and Richard, Pearline Neal Richard, and Richard, Sylvan Richard, and so many others, John Kelp and his wife, and so many others. They did meet, and at one point the group actually reached a membership of some over 100. But eventually some returned to their native or their homeland in England for medical purposes as they were getting older. And then we also had the other situation where, because they were senior citizens then, many have died since 2004. So our membership started depleting somewhat. But one of the things, Webbo, that we really want is, because of the fact that we had the COVID over the last 2 years, we had not been meeting because of the necessary protocols, and so we had not been meeting. And many people might at this point think that we are dormant and the organization is no longer in existence. But we are, and we want people to know that very soon, as a matter of fact, we started already. We started meeting through our dinners or luncheons that we were having. We had our last 2 months, we had luncheons where we had a bring and share, and it was very successful. But we want people to know that the returning nationals exist, and we want them to know that they could become a part of our group, and we are now inviting them to be part of our society.
You know, although it has a specific identity in its name, because of my experience, I'm going to ask you a question that somebody will ask or want to ask or would like to know. If you're not a returning national, can you join?
Yes, I said that right at the top of our presentation. Even though you are not a returning national, as long as you have the interest in the group and you also want to be part of the group that could help our society, you are more than welcome to be a member. We also have persons who were not originally from Nevis, but they are also members of our organization.
Because indeed your mission statement, your mission is broader than just 2 words, returning national.
Yeah, and I'll let Meredith talk about our mission statement and also some of our objectives.
Okay, Mrs. Field.
Our society is a registered organization, and that was done in 2009. So we have our constitution and everything that is needed to run a proper society. Our mission statement, it says the mission of the Returning Nationals Society of Nevis, RNSN, is to offer services which support the economic and social development of Nevis by providing representation and advocacy and promoting social, education, welfare, and recreational services. I must say, one of my interests in this society is to meet people and learn about their experiences which they had in other person's land. And it is sometimes we are surprised to hear what they went through. We heard of the Windrush in England, and so that is one aspect of which I am very interested in, and I might write a book about that one day. And so apart from the games night, where we play dominoes and Scrabble, and I must remind our president that at the present, the domino champions of the Returning National Society belongs to myself and Gertis Brown, two ladies. Okay, so we do a lot of activities. Our objectives, may I say, are to provide representation and advocacy to members, to provide information, support, counseling, and advice to members, to provide social, recreational, educational activities for members and the community, to provide a forum for consultation and subjects pertinent to members and the community, to make recommendations to the Nevis Island administration on such matters that affect members and the community, to provide responses to possible issues which have a negative impact, which have negatively impact members and the community, to provide bursaries and scholarships in accordance with the wishes of members, to provide any other service that may meet the needs of members and support the economic and social development of Nevis. That's our objective.
One of the things that these groups do or encompass is their spirit of helping and giving, which maybe more like in the 60s and 70s. We used to have a lot of community groups and organizations that they probably do have some now, which are spearheaded by the government, because they form a community department. But back then, if you're going to have, for instance, I know you have Nolan, I don't know how vibrant is it still, but a Mount Lily and Fountain Improvement Club. And a lot of these, I don't know how that got going, but a lot of the clubs and organizations got going through the community themselves, who abandoned themselves, just like you did with the Returning Nationals, and they help and they look for areas in which they can contribute and improve.
Well, Webbo, we do that from our Returning Nationals, and you did mention the Fountain and Mount Lily Community Improvement Group. We also get involved in that. And Webbo, we also have groups overseas that assist our Nevis community. Like I lived in Canada, and you have the NEVCAN Association. That is a group that helps us in Nevis. We have groups like in the Virgin Islands, groups in New York, and I think there's one in Connecticut and also in Washington. But these groups, they play a great role in assisting the community. And once our members were there, they were once there, and they knew what it was assisting Nevis. So they returned here, and they didn't fold their arms. They decided that they could likewise do it here.
Right. So you ever merit it because when you compare, let's say, the 60s and the 70s, even before some of you left, and this spirit, as I said, the community spirit of helping and giving. However, the question is, amongst the current population, the question is, does that spirit seem to be vibrant, where you will find that in, let's say, Brown Hill or in Gingerland or in Charlestown, people are that way minded as they do as Nevisians in Canada, as in New York and so on. They're not readily binding themselves together and saying, I'm not saying none of the groups do, but somehow you don't get that ready to help sort of thing and forming these groups, because we don't have a lot of them.
No, that's true. Well, we reach out to the community for assistance, and financially, each member pays $100 a year. So we get our money from that aspect, so that we could provide things for other persons and people who need needy persons in the community, with the assistance of the community government community association. But we find that one of the things I have a problem is, Webbo, you mentioned some of the areas in Nevis, Gingerland, etc., and it boggles my mind, because people in town are not willing to go to St. Shaw's Road for a meeting to join this organization. They say it's too far. So that is a deterrent. Why that should be, I do not know, because when they live in England and Canada and America, they get on the subway and they travel for miles and miles to different places to participate in societies and organizations and groups. So I would like them to, put that aside and leave your area and come to where we are and assist us in helping Nevisians, because it's for the progress of Nevisians. We have, as I don't think Mr. Nolan mentioned, that we give out hampers, Christmas hampers, to needy persons, and every Christmas, well, except for COVID. And it's not just in St. James, we give them to all the parishes. So they need to, come and help us to come and see what we are about, and you will like it.
And a society, any society, needs a group like this, or groups like this, right? Notwithstanding you have the government or the church or whatever, any and every society needs a group or groups like this, correct?
Yes, you see, government can't do everything, and so it needs to have other organizations, other groups, societies, in order to assist with whatever is taking place with the communities. It's a community improvement thing.
By the way, if you have a question or comment or suggestion for the members here of the returning national group, you can call us now at 1-869-469-1616 or 1700. Now, you had mentioned just a little while ago, Mrs. Field, Emma Field, that It's not just in St. James, but you normally are housed there,
Yes.
yeah, right?
Yes.
But you are welcoming members from
All
persons.
all over Nevis, all over. Please come and join us and see what we have to offer. We used to be very vibrant. We used to have trips to Mountstrat every year. Stacia, and we were planning to go to Dominica, I think, one year.
No, St. Bart's.
St. Bart's, yeah. Well, I wanted to go to Dominica, so we were
Too far.
that's just wishful thinking. So, and we've had dinners and dances. Persons from returning nationals from St. Kitts came over to take part in our functions. So it was very vibrant, and that's what we're here to use. Thanks to you, Webbo. We want to revive all that.
Especially the dancing. This is my probably light moment, but this is the dancing part, right?
Yes, sir. You know that. You know that.
One of the things that we do, Webbo, our membership, any time a member have the birthday, we always have a luncheon for the member's birthday. So sometimes we have 2-3 persons the same month have their birthday, but we'll have a big luncheon, and it's a bring and share. So each person brings a dish.
Yes.
So it's very inexpensive for that individual to have a big party.
You know what I am feeling from listening is that it's almost a relaxing organization to be in, because you not only help folks amongst yourself, you have a jolly good time, right?
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, and it is certainly sounding like a way to be apart from a lot of the other stresses in life, right?
You see, Webbo, one of the things is that when you are retired, you are at home. Some people find that they don't have anything to do. So here's an opportunity to get out of the house, socialize with persons you know, persons who you don't know, get to know new people, get information as to how you could go about getting certain things done, whether it's building, getting repairs done to whatever it may be. But it's a kind of a marketing thing that you get information out there as to how best you could get things done. And all that type of information you can glean through being part of this group, coming together in one place and socializing at the same time.
And about construction and so on, if you want to get something built here, or we could give you advice and suggestion, because we know some persons, unfortunately, they have gotten ripped off. Let's be real. Being overseas and they're buying property here, so that's where the association can come in and assist you to do the right thing. Another thing again too, I think it is because a lot of the persons see returnees as older persons. I need them to forget about the older, because we might be old, but we are definitely not cold. So do not let that deter you. And the age is from 18 years old. And as we have had quite a lot of deaths in the society recently, persons who have returned overseas for their medical treatment and care, so we are being depleted. So we need to build back up our numbers, and that's where we need the younger persons who are going to take over from Mr. Nolan, our president there. So I'm appealing to the younger persons to come in and see what we have to offer, and you would have fun, because it's a lot of laughter, and we know laughter is good for the soul.
So in other words, you like to have a fellow like me joining, because every time I speak, people just laugh.
You are welcome to be part of our group, Webbo.
We're going to give you a form tonight, Mr. Webbo.
Yeah, well, as I said, it's my I'm already having a lot of fun and feeling more good and positive about life just by interaction with you as members of the group, right? So we're hoping that folks get the same feeling and then join. How do they do that?
Well, one of the things I want them to do, Webbo, is that I've created a WhatsApp chat, and persons can now call me on that WhatsApp chat and give me their name and their number so that I could add them to that group. So whenever we are having activities, whenever we have any type of announcements also, they can always call me, get their names added, and that number that they can call is an 869 number 667-3613, and I'll add them. And the other thing, Webbo, is that every time we're having our meetings or other functions, you are so kind here at Von Radio to announce them on community calendar, and we always try and put it on community calendar so that people can hear about it. Our meetings, it's always on community calendar, they hear about it and so forth, so that's important.
Yeah, I just like to mention that I'll perhaps don't normally do it when I'm doing the show, but encourage people to do that and to join, because I've been campaigning for years to encourage people that there are a lot of other different things that you can do in terms of living and life, and this is one of them.
Yes.
And you mentioned that you join this club, this organization, you get a lot of laughter.
Yes.
And you know, a lot of other things you talk about and stuff like that, and that's another side of life and living.
You know, Webbo, you don't plan anything for me on a Wednesday evening or a Saturday evening, because I know where I'm going to be on those evenings. I'm going to be at Ocean View Guest House and Restaurant to play my dominoes. So no one should arrange anything on those 2 evenings.
You can play?
Oh, very much so.
Okay.
He doesn't think I can play, but
A lot of people have misconceptions
Yes,
about
yeah.
you because Eric says he can dance better than you.
Eric said that. We're going to have a dance off soon. Eric, you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, so what else we got? Because anything else we would like to
We usually have walkathons as well. We usually walkathons, and we used to meet at Herbert's Beach. Every Heroes Day.
Every Heroes Day.
And we would have it's like a fundraising activity. We would have a bring and share. The persons who took never had to pay, but if you didn't take anything, you would have to pay. It's a minimal in amount of money, so we could get some funds.
Yes.
Because that way we raise the funds to help persons with medical assistance, etc., etc. I remember once, part of as a nurse, one of my projects was to visit the prison farm, which I enjoyed it, to assist in the care, their mental abilities. And they didn't have a TV. It's a government-run agency, and the returning nationals was able to give them a television. So that's what we do. We reach out for people who are in need, no matter which walk of life you're from, as long as we can afford it. So that's why we need the numbers to come back to pay the $100, so our bank book can begin to swell again. Right, Mr. Nolan?
Well, Meredith, it's not only the $100 that we have that raise our funds. We also have the various functions that we put on, and we mentioned the boat trips that we put on. We have the walkathon where we raise monies. We have raffles. We have bingo night where we get some monies, and all these things, Webbo, are fun nights.
Yes.
Fun nights. You come, we have our meetings. After the meetings, we continue with the socializing, having fun, and rather than just being in the house, being bored, get out of the house. Come and enjoy our activities, and it's not going to be the expensive type of activities.
All right. So your next meeting is or what you want folks to call? Yes.
We usually have meetings every last Friday night of the month. But since the COVID, because of the protocols that were placed, we couldn't meet. We will be starting our meetings soon, but prior to the meetings, we tested the water in the form of bring and share, like the potluck bring and share. So for the last 2 months we had it, and as I said, it was very successful, and it was not just members alone that came, but other persons came, because it was an open invitation. You just bring a dish and come along. It doesn't matter whether you're a member, we welcome you. So we had, for the last 2 months, we had those activities. So we will start our meetings very soon. So we will announce it on Vaughan Radio community calendar when the meetings will be taking place.
Okay, very well. And anybody, as you said, once you're 18 plus, you can join.
You can join.
And you're a number that people can call, right?
Yeah, the number is 667-3613, and just let me know your number, and once it's numbered, we have the WhatsApp, and we will include you so that you will get to know whatever activities, you get to know information like death announcements and all those things when there are funerals, and we provide you with that information.
And you have found, the both of you, from your experience in being a part of these groups and organizations, you have found better enrichment in your life?
Oh, ever so much. Like Webbo, I'm supposed to be in Toronto on the 1st of next month. And the reason why I'm going to be in Toronto is in 1992, I was the co-founder of the Association of Black Law Enforcers in Toronto. Well, it covered Canada. And as a result, they are now recognizing the founders of the organization. It was just 7 of us, and we will be recognized. It has grown to a big organization where every year they have a awards gala.
Yes.
But it's now helping the community in Toronto, and they're now recognizing the persons who were involved in organizing something like that.
Great.
It's like a home from home for most of us.
Yes.
Because, for instance, with me, I'm alone at the moment with all my family overseas, and I go there and I feel fantastic.
Yes.
You know, like I said, you have fun. You reach out to people and you hear people, as I said before, you hear the experiences, and you get a word of advice, which is good. So it's a good thing to be part of. And where I live, it doesn't take me long in Gingerland, and I go religiously. So, like I say, it's not too far. Please, please, it's not too far. Mr. Webbo, it's too far?
No, how can it be too far? When I got a little experience under my belt with certain things, and earlier you had said that folks said that it is too far, and you said that they have a problem because it's too far. And I wanted to ask, so I ask now, you think it's a problem or an excuse? Because it is
an excuse.
Because
it's an excuse.
People go where they want to go. I found that out.
You know, Webbo, one of the things.
Okay, let me get this. Somebody wants to probably make a comment or good evening. Thank you for holding.
Hello, good evening. I was listening to the program and it sounds interesting.
Thank you.
And I just said I'll call. And so you do accept donations.
Yes, we do accept donations.
And I have to say I don't see any place in Nevis that is far.
Exactly, sir. Thank you.
No place in Nevis is far. These people don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, thanks again. Good night. I'll be in touch. It sounds interesting.
But if you're going to give a donation, can we have you as part of the organization too, and your friends? He's gone.
It's gone. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, but you'll hear from him.
Yeah, he might want to when we're having our next meeting,
Yeah.
to come at the meeting and be part of our group. And one of the things we always do, Webbo, we usually have visitors, speakers who come in and talk on a number of issues that are beneficial to not only us but also any member of our community.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that the gentleman called, and I'm hoping that there are lots of other persons who feel that is interesting, because I generally, it sounds interesting to me, and maybe it's because I like these sort of things. I do this show for so long, and sometimes I coin a phrase. I tell my audience sometimes, y'all like too much politics, so so I'm glad when we have discussions like this to show there's other life going on in the society which people can be a part of, right, to make a wholesome life.
And we should not be not political.
Right. Well, if you want to be, you can be, but I'm just saying that there's other things, right, that we can do.
At one of our luncheons we had a gentleman from England who was visiting, and he belongs to St. Kitts Nevis Association in England, and he wanted to get some information from us because they're having a function on the 19th of this month. So he wanted to be able to monies that they receive from that function, he wanted to be able to donate some of that funds to us.
That's good.
So donations come in different ways.
All right, so we're wrapping up. So anything else you would like to say? Well, I normally say take the last couple of minutes to make your case.
Well, now that we have the protocols lifted for the COVID, we would like to let people know that we are once again open for business. Our association, society, will now be having our regular meetings. We will be having them on Friday nights as usual, as we have been having so far, and any changes we will let our listeners hear about them and get to know. And you don't have to be living in Nevis. You can also be a member if you have connections with Nevis and living overseas. We welcome you to become members still.
And Mrs. Amy Field, your final comments?
Yes, I would just wish to reiterate.
Okay, before you do that, somebody else would like to speak with us before you go. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. My name is Vanessa Taveras, and I would like to say that I have benefited from that group in so many different ways. Miss Amory and Miss Nolan would have seen me to a number of the activities and whatever they have. I am normally there, so I can testify and say that yes, they do help and they do have a lot of fun activities, and I am not really a part of the group, but I am there to every one of their activities, and I am grateful, and I have benefited in many different ways from the Return National Society.
Well, we always see you, and we really appreciate your company whenever you come. And it's always nice seeing you there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Continue with the good work.
Thank you.
It's good hearing from you. Have a good evening.
Same to you, sir.
Yes, okay, Mrs. Field, you could.
Yes, I was just saying that. Well, thanks. She's given us a lovely support there, a word of support, and we need to revive the organization, as we've
Okay,
heard.
well, that is good. Somebody else is weighing in, and so it tells you that you're getting support. Hello, good evening.
That's
Yes,
good.
good evening, Mr. Herbert and the returnees. My name is Janet Herbert, and I would like to, give recognition to the returnees. I remember over the years working with the senior group here in Nevis, St. James's Parish, specifically, when at Christmas time, they requested a list from me for the vulnerable one who needs things in the community. And they had reached out, and also we had quite a number of luncheons from the returnees. And this was benefiting to the seniors program that we presently have in Nevis. So may God continue to bless them as they continue to enhance with such love and such love and caring for our communities. Blessing. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Janet.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening. Yes.
Yes, one of the things I would like to say that everybody has an idea, suggestion, so we need people who can boost us. Bring your ideas, no matter how silly you think it might be, so that we could get a variety of activities going to help us. And I would like for us to the next meeting that is the biggest ever. So please listen out to Von Radio, my favorite station in the Federation, to hear when is the next meeting which we'll be having, and please come along. You will not regret it. Thank you.
Okay, and remember that it's everybody, once you're 18 and plus, you go, and you not only will help, you will have lots of fun, right?
That's
Okay.
right.
All right, thank you all very much for being with us this evening, and anytime you can always come, let's talk. It's always refreshing to talk, just normally what happens in life, right?
And thank you very much, Mr. Herbert, for giving us the opportunity to come here tonight and make this presentation to the listeners.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Lynell Nolan, Mrs. Amory Field. First segment of the program. Second segment is coming up. This is Thought That Get Results. 1-869-469-1616 and 1700. Remember, you can be a part of the Returning Nationals organization. You don't have to be a returning national. Once you're 18 years and over, you're on the island of Nevis. They say that the notices will be coming out soon when they'll be having their next meeting. We'll be back after this.
Is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. Builders Paradise has over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need. Wow! Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. This is something that you can't refuse. Visit Builders Paradise today at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Site in St. Kitts, or call them at 466-4938.
In Queen City, Nevis, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, Vaughn Radio. With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Back in this episode of Talk That Get Results with our second segment. The first segment featured a returning National Society of Nevis. If you're just joining us, well, we spoke about how you can be a part of that organization. If you want a full discussion, of course, this program will repeat tomorrow at 10 o'clock, or you can go to our YouTube or Facebook channels. The second segment of the program, Conrad Nair Liebert. Good evening.
Good evening, Webbo, and a pleasant good evening once again to your hard-working staff here at Vaughan Radio and to everyone, viewers, listeners to this program. I'm happy to be here, Webbo, and thank you for having me once again.
Edric W. Stanley, good evening.
Good evening, Webbo. Good evening to my fellow panelists. Good evening to the people of St. Kitts, but more particularly the people of Nevis, those who listen to us on the World Wide Web, via YouTube and Facebook, and throughout the Caribbean Basin. Well, it's always good to be here to disseminate information, and like I said, to me it's an obligation, and as a result, once you call, or once I get the call, I will be here, hopefully, by God's help, Godspeed. Good evening, Webbo. Well, I have a few things to put on the table. Firstly, let me say that we have had the passing of our great Commonwealth and British leader in Queen Elizabeth. And of course, she has done a magnificent job over the 70-year reign, over a 70-year reign as Queen of England and also as leader of the Commonwealth of Nations. And in that regard, she'll be greatly missed. Fortunately, I became part of an organization which is the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors and Appraisers, and on that platform I was sent a link to offer my condolences to the royal family of the passing of our great leader, Queen Elizabeth II. And in this regard, I was elated, of course, to have given the link and the opportunity to send my condolences to the royal family on that platform. Before that, I was asked to write a piece on the war in Ukraine, and I was able to have done that, and in that regard, the column is in the Observer, and those who would like to access it can go to www.3w www.thesyncitnevis.com/war-3-15 looming. Let me repeat that. www.thesyncitnevis.observer.com/world-war-3- Let me repeat again. www.thesyncitnevis.observer.com/world-war-3- and you will read that column it is quite lengthy, and that platform had been given to me by, again, the Royal Academy by Lord Michael Bishard's platform, and that column would have been sent to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Australia, New Zealand, Britain, and the Caribbean. Like I said, it is a lengthy article, but I believe if you access that website address, you would see the column by Edric W. Stanley. It gives you a perspective of what is happening in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, with regard to the current state of affairs. Because when Ukraine was invaded by Russia, everybody thought within a short period the war would be over. Ukraine would have been overrun by Russia in short order. However, the Ukrainians have the guts and will to fight, and consequently Russia has been pushed back, and they have regained territories that Russia has occupied over a period of time. At the same time, this is predicated not only on the war in Ukraine by Russian forces, but also what occurred in World War II, when Germany decided to invade Russia and take on NATO. As a matter of fact, NATO was formed as a result of that war. However, fast forward, and we now have the same platform on which I was asked to write. I was sent, like I said, a link so as to offer my condolences to the royal family in the passing of our great leader. And I think they have continually asked me to write, but I'm very busy, and as a result I sometimes decline from writing more things. However, this evening, that same platform which they gave me has over 90 pictures of the royal family. Even King George V, was he King George V, the father of Prince Charles, Princess Anne, the Queen's father, the Queen's father, but Prince Charles's and Princess Anne's grandfather. However, like I said, it's a good organization. The Royal College of Surgeons, I'm sure, of which our late Dr. Lincoln Liebert was part of that Royal College of Surgeons, and I'm certain that they too would have gotten a link to offer their tribute. Additionally, the Royal College of Music has been sent a link. The Queen has visited our organization, which is the organization is over 150 years old, and based on her visit, they do contribute money to these royal institutions of which they are part. And I was told that it is very likely that the royal family at some point in time would visit the Royal Institute of Chartered Appraisers and Surveyors, as the case might be, and they would be able to read what I have sent as my condolence message to the royal family. Now, like I said, there are over 90 pictures that they have sent me. I unfortunately don't have them with me to share with you, the listening and viewing audiences. However, I leave it there. Niall.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley. First, I wanted to comment on the group we had in earlier, returning nationals, and I want to congratulate them and to give them impetus to go forward and to just to give them that recognition that they deserve, because they've been doing a lot. They represent a semblance of unity which is quite rare here in this little island. They're non-political, which is good, and so they can actually, you know, socialize and entertain ideas from everyone, and of course choose the best ideas, the one that would impact most positive to the island and the organization, and go forward. I think that impartiality is very important, and as I say, it's quite rare. And so the members of the organization, I want to congratulate you guys on that. I do hope that the membership increase and get back to that level where money can be earned by subscription and registration and whatever, and the activities that you guys are on about. I knew it exists, and I visited the place once or twice, but I think it's a very good thing, because when you live out there, you tend to have a lot of ideas. You tend to be exposed to, if you care about, and experiences that you probably would like to see at times effectuate here on island. To be quite honest, when I'm away, my mind is always on Nevis. Constantly, as I said to people, I've left Nevis about 5 times for good, and always come back. Always had to come, because my mind is always on Nevis, and wanting to do something, and just feel like whatever I do in Nevis is going to be long lasting and lasting for a much longer time, as opposed to doing something in the country where I was. So I could share with them that kind of feeling where they feel like they owe something to Nevis and Nevision, and they will do things to promote a better life here on island for Nevisians. And not only that, it's an organization which obviously they have a lot of fun. They're quite social, and it looks like they get things done, and so that's a very good branch here in Nevis. And of course we would like such organization to be quite instrumental at times in advancing the free speech, because I'm sure they themselves, even though not political, will have views that would have helped to clarify a lot of things here in Nevis, and basically to let people know, look, an opinion is an opinion, and we do not need to be divided simply because of an opinion, and we can be an organization where we work towards the betterment of Nevis, and even though there are cross opinions, we can still, achieve our objective and be, self-satisfied that we are doing something positive. So I think it's a great organization, and there are many organizations like that. And when you look at them all, in Connecticut, in New York, in Toronto, in Leeds, all over, they are one. They are connected by that very important, what can I say, responsibility that exists, that thing in their mind about Nevis, which I'm always affected by when I'm away. I don't think when I'm away one day pass without me dreaming about Nevis, even to sit on the eastern side of my house in the afternoon. I miss that seriously, in the shade and the good breeze and the salubriousness of being here. It's one of the more beautiful islands in the Caribbean, one of the more beautiful places in the world, really. And so we can enjoy that if we, at times, socialize without that kind of political anger that sometimes exists, and so I congratulate that organization and I wish them well, and I would encourage anyone to be a part of them, especially, many elder folks have now find themselves living alone, and they can reach out and find some companion amongst the returning nationals. And I'm not saying they're all old people, but as I said, the social intercourse is very important, and spending time together here in Nevis is a semblance of unity, which is always encouraging. The death of the Queen Elizabeth II, who most of us have only known as a person occupying the throne of England, because from since I born there was a Queen Elizabeth, and you got to be quite, not old, but going up there in age to know differently. I want to extend my condolences too, because when death comes around, we sometimes look at the individual and the person, and sometimes we and rightly so, shouldn't link them with other or blame them for what have taken place in the past. And so it is the Queen of England. I gather she's a peacemaker. I gather she's a hard-working person. I gather she meant good, because when I look at all that was going on, I mean, the Union is quite fragmented politically, but at this junction, the passing of the Queen, I see England, Scotland, Wales, everyone come out and paying the tribute to the fullness. I really like royalty, to be quite honest. The thing about royalty I like is the practice of tradition, things that goes back centuries and so forth. So it's quite, fun looking at the things on the television and see how they play out these various aspects of recognizing the Queen and celebrating her life and work and so forth. And so it's very major. She's the head of the Commonwealth. We can say a lot of things about the Commonwealth, because some of the islands are referred to the common poor because they are very poor. We can say all kinds of things about the Commonwealth. We can say that the white countries of the Commonwealth has a better relationship with England than the black countries of the Commonwealth. But maybe it's not the time for that, really. Maybe it's the time to give respect and pay homage to that particular individual, Queen Elizabeth, who spent a lot of time in Africa too. I mean, one of her favorite places in Kenya, and I think just before her father passes, she was in Kenya, and went home to be crowned and sit on the throne. And so, like I've been hearing all the time, she's constantly in our, surroundings. She's on our money, she's everywhere, and so we cannot at all pay blind eye or act as if nothing has happened. She is a global figure, was a global figure, and her organization is very fundamental to global politics and very fundamental to our style of politics, the Westminster tradition. And she is the head of state, and Prime Minister of England have to report to her very often. I think it's probably every month, She plays a fundamental role. I'm happy that she's a peacemaker. I'm not always happy that she doesn't have no indulgence in politics, because through politics is where people get the bad end and the good end at times, and sometimes we wish somebody with her authority and power can give some guidance. But no, she doesn't get involved in politics. She represents the middle ground, and really it says something to us, because the Governor General here, the representative of the Queen, should represent the middle ground as well. But I don't think that happened in reality here at all, and that poses a problem. And so if, there are great examples to follow, and I think she is a good example as it relates to that particular role in politics. And so I must salute her, and I must pay condolences to her whole family. They are human, just like us. And and I find them at times very humbled, because at times they are very lonely too, and they're not always getting the smooth edge of the stick. Sometimes they get the very rough edge of the stick, and people wonder, who are they? What do they exist for? But I think they play a fundamental role, and if one imagined the world without them, we probably would imagine something completely different, and one is not sure what would that be, really. And so from the mic of One Radio, Conrad Nile, I would say condolences to the Queen Elizabeth II. I know Rastafarians at times who are anti-colonial, and I am one of them, and therefore sometimes does not yield to the offerings and the blessings that comes from the Queen. Like, my good friend there, Benjamin Bethany, a well-known Rastafarian book writer in England, and he refuses to be knighted. And so that's who we are, in a sense. And nothing is wrong with that, but in the light of humanity, we must express our deepest felt hurt and emotions when one has passed sometimes, And so condolences to the Queen family, and we welcome the King Charles. And I'm sure we will be seeing and hearing a lot from him, because I think the Commonwealth now has a new role to play in British life and politics, now that they're no longer a part of the European Union. And so we expect to be dealing more with England, and I hope they will never make us have to get a visa to go there. I hope that would never change. And I hope we can do some business, we can do some trade, we can be boosted by this new and renewed friendship throughout the Commonwealth with the royal family.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, in terms of the segment that we had earlier, and the spirit that a community group that is formed and operates from within the community, what it brings to the society in terms of the organization, their intermingling with each other, and as a consequence the fun that and the aspect that it brings to life. And I don't know, there might be younger folks who do not know about that aspect, so you can't say that it is missing, because you don't know it, you don't understand it. But I just wanted to mention that in terms of the group that we had earlier and what they offer in terms of the society. The other thing I wanted to mention is the 39th anniversary of independence for St. Kitts and Nevis. And you basically can say we're in the celebrations, and what do you make of it overall? 39 years.
Well, let me take this opportunity to thank that benevolent group, the returning nationals, for their contribution to the betterment and the upliftment of our peoples in its Nevis and further afield, because their contribution, of course, has been rather profound, even though it may not be large as expected by the majority of Nevisians. They have impacted us in a positive way, and as a result, we are a better people. They have contributed. They are always out in the community, as we have listened to some of the callers who have received, and they have demonstrated that they go to the meetings. Unfortunately, I am very busy. At the same time, I saw a lady today who was part of the senior citizens group who made it a duty to come through the entrance at the post office simply to tell me she just came back from the senior citizens group. That returning national group, the returning nationals, that group again has made an indelible mark on the consciousness of the Nevisian public, and I would urge membership. I urge people in the community to follow them, become part of them, and make your contribution, because it's going to Nevis in particular and maybe further afield. We recognize that a certain quantity or amount in donation coming from the, should I call it a sister organization in Britain, or maybe I shouldn't refer to them as that, but whatever is acceptable, contributable, let's all pitch in and give them a helping hand so that the organization can be revitalized. And to the young and to the not so young, again, they are clamoring. There's a clarion call for a renewed emphasis on membership, and from that membership the contribution is impactful, and therefore again I ask for participation. Well, let me go on to say that you mentioned the 39th anniversary of our independence, and I am noting that there will be something at the Malcolm Richard Park for National Heroes Day by the Nevis Island administration, and it tells me that there is something about that organized by the Nevis Island administration under the leadership of the Honorable Mark Brantley. It tells me that he's reaching out to the unity, a renewed unification of the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis. In the past, we have gone to El Camino Will Park to celebrate independence. Of course, it is quite profound on Independence Day to see the troops and the various organizations, the Girl Guides, the Scouts, the Pathfinders, as the case might be, and the speech or speeches given by primarily the Premier. And I'm hoping that this year the participation will be bigger and with a renewed sense of purpose and focus on the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis in a positive and impactful way. Some of us have, in fact, brought it to the point where we would state, and have stated, that is not as impactful and meaningful as in the past, but again, based on the emphasis with the participation and the activities at the Malcolm Gishard Park regarding National Heroes Day, tells me that there is renewed effort on the part of the leadership in Nevis to reach out for unification, more unity, more cooperation from our brothers and sisters across the waters.
So, for the past X number of years, when there always was such a concert, then what?
Well, I must admit that it's the first time I am zooming in on the actuality of the concert.
I got you. So, and to be fair, a person can only speak to what they know.
Right.
Okay.
Quite so. But it gives me an opportunity at this juncture to add a little spice to it to indicate that seemingly more effort has been put out.
I don't know, you can say more, that something is more than the other if you don't know what the other one was. Right, Naya?
Well, I don't really agree with you.
But you work with me. So you can say Naya sounds much better than me, having not hearing me.
No, not necessarily. But what I'm saying to you, because I didn't hear it, doesn't mean that it was not out there. But the effort was made, I think, more so now, in my opinion, than in the past, for me to hear it and understand it and recognize it and categorize it as it's a renewed effort. It's a new venue. The Malcolm Gishard Park, and therefore, even though it has happened in the past, because of the new venue, I give it a larger check mark than I would have given it had I known about it in the past. So, Webbo, you're tickled pink with laughter.
Yes, Stanley. No, it's not the first time they're having that event. They had one last year as well, and it was really good also. Yes, they're having one for independence, and I don't think it's a renewed effort, really, in a sense. This is 2022, and we are celebrating the independence, and they're bringing an act for the Heroes Day, and it will be happening at Malcolm Gishard Park. Freddie McGregor, I was told, is the artist, and Chino McGregor. That sounds like his son, but I'm not sure. I did hear that there would be the Small Axe Band. I am not certain if that would happen, but I overheard that there would be the Small Axe Band. And of course, I'm going to ask the question, what happened to the Nevis Band? But let me not run too far ahead, because really and truly, I've heard this from you know, on the Mark show back then, about 2 weeks ago. But he also mentioned that there would have been another artist, you know, what's the group name? But it appears if that group won't be coming, but Freddie McGregor will be coming, and so maybe he just wasn't certain as to the acts on that night.
Yeah, apart from the entertainment and stuff like that, the 39 years of independence as a nation and progress and stuff like that and so on, what do you make of, you know, generally speaking?
Webbo, it's happening, Webbo. I believe, and I hate to say this, that the people in St. Kitts feel much better about it than we here in Nevis. They are more into it. Let's face the facts, that the people of Nevis doesn't celebrate it wholeheartedly. We are half-stepping it all the time. It's not big fun period for us. See, independence have not really been celebrated emotionally at all by Nevisians, and I can't say for some reasons, because we know the various reasons, and so it's a bittersweet moment. Every year I almost say this is the very same thing. It's a bittersweet moment because we are not really happy campers. Put it that way. Within the union. We wish we were, and we wish we were all worked up to the independence celebration. But I think the people of St. Kitts have reasons to be very happy going forward. The people of Nevis feel different.
Could you speak for yourself? Go ahead.
No. Well, I speak for myself, yes, but I think most will agree with me, really and truly, that the emotions are often lacking here in Nevis when it comes to independence. And that is bad, and that is sad. And we hope going forward, if we stay within the union, that can be corrected, and we can just feel the strong vibe. You know, I believe, especially in the last 5 years, the Allen administration tried to advance a more closer and more involved spirit when it comes to the independence celebration, because things did change a little bit. I think they started to keep one of the church service over here and so forth. That those were, you know, positive and significant gestures, really. But still, there was always something lacking, something missing here on island as it relates to the independence celebration, in terms of people's emotions and people, you know, getting involved and spirit about the whole, you know, celebrations of independence. And that's what I realized.
Well, I would say we no longer.
Okay, let me just take this first. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Good night, Webbo.
Yes.
And good night, Webbo. Good night, Naya, and good night, Stanley.
Good night.
First, I always want to thank God for the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis, a country we're born into, and live into and doing well, and try to help others face struggle, especially the infirmary, the hospital, the schools, and everything. Because we know that we are black people, and we see one another struggling. If we got a little more than one, we got to give. Yet we got to try to give a little, because I get it from my mother and my father. They were two hard workers, working mountains long. I never know them working nowhere else. They working mountains long up in the sugar industry. And that is where we do raise animals. Now, but Naya, I hear something, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the celebration of independence in these people don't feel it. Well, I believe this same thing down here too sometimes, because independence celebration don't come as much. You know, it's like a carnival celebration. So I don't see not much to come out at the celebration of the independence and the parade, only the parade, independent parade, and whatever. But I believe that if Nevis got independent parade too, Webber,
Yes.
or they got it too. On that, me don't see nothing big. One time when they reach the 50th, and I mean, like the 10th are independent, that is 30 something are independent, that is 20 something. We have a big celebration. You know that we are the independent calypso show. But I mean, no, apart the cancel, right?
Yeah.
As you like you're cross-treading the St. and Nevis, eh? But I believe that, right, when they got Culturama, these St. people just come up and participate in Culturama and spend the money in Culturama and go in the troop and go in the things. So I witness it for myself. When I come in for Culturama, the Nibijan them on this side standing up and St. people enjoying themselves, spending and drinking and enjoying themselves. So I don't know where you want to get at, eh? But I believe we are one, and I believe that the country could go well. I don't know whether, I mean, now it seems to me like a talk of a secessionist. You know, I can't help myself from saying that.
You're
to
correct.
me, it's a talk of a secessionist.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct.
And that is your opinion, and that is your right. You understand? But as a true federationist and a true love of the federation, with my mother, I got sisters, I got brothers, I got some of them that do it so nice. Some of my family, because some of them I don't even know them. You know? And then make myself to know me neither. Some of them I go need this, I go look for my family them. Some of them, you know, when I meet sometimes, you look like, they just brush me off. You understand? So it's about human being. I do not think about nothing wrong with thinking we hating one another, or against one another. You understand? I don't listen up, we can't think for the politician them. We got to think about the ordinary people. People like me, who love news and who love Sinkit. And we will contribute anywhere. Alright then, we'll continue in the program.
Okay.
Well, we used to sing the national anthem of God Save the Gracious Queen. And when the time came when we got our independence, we sang our national anthem. And I could feel it in my core. The reverence, the solemnity, singing the national anthem. God Save the Gracious Queen. Since we achieved independence, we sing our national anthem. And I could tell you, I feel it when it is sung. I feel again the solemnity as a nationalist, as a patriot, as one who was born in Nevis, but of the nation of St. Kitts Nevis. And I feel I can go to St. Kitts and do within my rights what I want to do in St. Kitts. Nobody can stop me within my rights. And I feel, based on the solemnity, nobody can stop me from doing within my rights what I want to do in Nevis. And therefore, I feel that this nation belongs to all of us. And while I try to interrupt you to say speak for yourself, I hope that nobody on the call attempt to chastise me for telling you speak for yourself. Webbo.
Just a light moment. That is why I let people finish what they're saying, because when you started in that last line, when you said I hope nobody would call in and tell you, I thought you were going to say speak for yourself. You see what I'm saying? But it's a good thing I let you finish. You see? Because you told Naya to speak for yourself, himself, when you went on and speak for
who?
For others who feel like me. And the caller who just called, he attempted to speak like me.
But you didn't chastise him.
Why should I chastise a person who's on my team?
Okay, so when a person have a contrary view,
I have put him in the category as a minority view. I think I have the right to chastise him. He also has the right to tell me I'm wrong, but to prove that I'm wrong, show me the numbers.
Good evening, thank you for holding. Good evening, you're on the air.
Yes, good evening. I agree with the other gentleman.
Yeah, you sound a bit far away from the phone now.
No, I was saying, I agree. I am on the same length with the other gentleman in relationship to divisions in with the independence thing. I agree with the other gentleman.
Who are the gentlemen, sir?
I don't remember the name.
Is it Naya you're talking about?
Yeah, that's me. That person.
Okay. Okay. Thank
you.
Thank you. Well, I don't think it's difficult to fall in line here, because this has been happening and we talk about it every year, that Nivisions are not motivated by the celebration of their independence. Now, you can go and find out why. I know why, okay? But we are the suffering people of the Federation. And that is why. I mean, what do you guys expect? Are we going to be happy with this kind of subjugation for so many years? Look at what happened in the last 5 years. Look at where we are right now. Militians are not happy campers in the Federation. And I think the quicker we not yield to, but acknowledge that we probably can improve on that. The quicker we do that, the better it is for the Federation. Stanley, your life is your life, but there are other people who's feeling a lot different.
Good evening, thank you for holding.
Yes, good evening. I'm sorry I joined it. I was listening before, you know. Now, I recall in 1993, I think it was, I went to Washington, D.C. And they were having the carnival, which usually occurs before the 4th of July. And I was looking at all of the flags, you know. And so I said to my sister-in-law, who was born in Everson, girl, what happened to St. flag? Nobody ever St. Kitts. So anyway, I took my good self, born in St. Kitts, and went and we bought a large flag, had to have our backs. While walking along the route, I came along some divisions. You know, she identified them and we spoke. So I said, well, why you all don't have the flag, you don't see all the other countries send the same flag? They actually had the Nevis flag.
That's our flag.
And it wasn't one person, you know. So to me, I don't quite understand it. I mean, I understand what Libert is saying, eh? If you have been through years of discrimination based on the place of birth, it is hard. But I want to know, has anything changed since Simeon Daniel was made a national hero? That is the question I want answered. All right then.
Okay, thank you.
Well, nothing has changed. They have made him a national hero because he deserves that, really and truly. But nothing have changed, because one of the things I realized the politicians here in Nevis did not, they pay disregards to his intention on what he has laid out for Nevis, the path he has cleared for Nevis. But nothing has changed. I mean, we all dreamed for a bit, and reality struck us just a couple of weeks ago.
I usually have this phrase: when you actually attempt to divide Nevis from St. Kitts, then what are you going to do? Divide. At the time, the Honorable Josie Parry occupied that portion of St. Thomas's he was the representative federally and locally. And I said, what are you going to do? Divide Nevis between himself on the one hand and Vance Amory from Gingerland on the other hand? Because it's human nature.
I don't understand what you're saying. Sorry.
What I'm saying to you is, Parry controls, let me say controls St. Thomas's. The late Vance Amory controlled Gingerland, St. George's, and the essence of human nature is that this is my territory, Gingerland, St. George's. That is your territory, St. Thomas's.
Mm-hmm.
Were you to switch, put Mr. Parry in Gingerland and Mr. Amory, I don't think you'd have gotten the same turnout.
In the interest of time, Mr. Stanley, that's your contribution to what they were talking about?
What I'm trying to say is to bring it closer to home, where human nature, based on a man defends his castle, and ultimately that would be the feeling of those two men at a certain point in time.
Okay, but you know, I would like to say this. Okay, we're all Nevisians, Gingerland and Cotton Ground, one people, Nevis people, you understand? And of course, there's politics that sometimes, you know, divide for time and so forth. But we got to get over that, because Nevis issue is for Nevis people to solve, you know. But I was in Sinkis just the other day, and I buy some things, and the guy who come pick me up say, "Did you get what you want?" I say, "Yes." He said, "Well, how I want to go secession," you know. And that, because that's the kind of simplicity they deal with us with in that regard, yeah. Anyway, I said to him, "Yes, I got what I wanted, but you cannot just ask me that question." And I feel very embarrassed that you look at this cause for secession so in a so simplistic way. He said, "Boy, now the truth is, I just hear you on the radio and I do understand what you're saying." Because one of the things that bother me, this is what he said to me. He said, "You guys have been working on this geothermal for so long. Energy is a problem globally. I believe if they were serious with Nevis, that the federal government would join in and make sure that the geothermal happen in Nevis, that if they can export some to St. Kitts, or, you know, have some reach to St. Kitts, then the federation would benefit. But it looks like they want to start their own thing now. Why don't they? I mean, that would have been the perfect thing to do if we're really talking about, you know." And I said, "Boy, there's so many things I can tell you. There's so many things I can tell you. No, we got to get serious with this, man."
That's ideal thinking. That is idealism. But it has no practical application simply because we're human beings.
What do you mean by that? I do not understand what you're saying, Mr. Stanley. No practical application. He just point to one example, okay? That if they were really serious about this federation,
that's the right thing to do.
Equality between the two sisters, it would have been just the right and easy thing to do.
Right.
Instead of trying to develop their own.
But it doesn't work that way. Politics.
And that's why we need, for the survival of Nevis, okay, to move away. We must do that if we are to grow. We're taking this thing for granted.
Get real now.
We're taking this thing for granted.
Get real.
We are being sucked, I said, over by St. Kitts. First, they don't want to give us what belongs to us, which is ours. Second, they have usurped our money because everybody goes St. Kitts and spend because of the disparity, and it's like it's not going to get better.
Okay, let me just take this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
evening. Thank you for holding.
Good evening, you're on the air.
Good evening.
Caller, you're on the air.
Good
Go ahead, Naya.
We got to be mindful, you know, because I think we're being abused beyond recognition because we don't even trust ourselves anymore over here. Because I've heard you said last.
Human nature.
Well, so we don't fit to exist. No, but if you think human nature, this human nature is acting against us, is that what you're saying?
Okay, let me try this again. Good evening, thank you for holding.
Yes, good evening, good evening. Yeah, I understand what the youngster's saying, right? But I wonder if he not 3/4 think it's people is nervous that came out from, right?
Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I understand how we're feeling and so on. What happened when we put people into power to work? They don't do the work because when the tumult talk come up, I think Mr. Douglas should have put some strong effort in it. And today we are getting the energy from it. It's both of it, right? It's for not just Nevis alone, but I don't know. You see, they go into government. And they're going with this ignorance in their head, it's me. You see how we end up? In 2 years time, we had to have an election because things wasn't going right. And what happened? The person who going after and say, the first person don't get something want to. I don't know how they hold the country for hostage like that. The country is all of the country. And that was really out of order. And I just hope this young person who got in now make it a little better. Yeah, I really see Nevis flag for a long time. I came over there time and this lady and me went out and I went to a netball thing and I see this different flag. We need a different flag with too small. Trinidad and Tobago bigger than us and there's one nation. You know, and a different flag. I don't even know who. Sorry. I don't even know really they come up with a different flag business. And we don't got you things. We need to know when to settle. As a gentleman was saying before, when they have the Nevis Arama, it's really come over there and support it big time. Put money in people's pocket and stuff, in the vendors' pocket, in the show's pocket. So I don't know where we're going from here now. I beg you, youngster, you're younger, maybe I could be your mother. I beg you, please think back. I know you feel it, you're hurted, but just think we want a secession is up to my grandmother come from by mother's side, and up to my grandmother come from my father's side. So I don't know what secession we want. Join the secession, get together, sit down around the round table and walk out things. And that's the only thing we're going to a better place to be.
Okay.
Right? Like a gentleman who asking about how cotton grown Mr. Parry for the and Mr. Emery for the. He said we support buying us together, Lord, buying us together, Lord, young man. And I feel for them, but we buying together. I'm a old woman and me want in a separation.
Okay. So you're coming again for Nevis Arama?
Yeah, I come up there.
Okay.
I come up there, we don't came up there and sell and all.
Okay. All right.
Right? Yeah, they come up there going in the hot bath. When we go to session, the hot bath going to cost money after a while, you know?
So how you finding Nevis Arama when you came?
Good, I come up there, Mr. Webbo, sell off many times, me boil nuts, and me struck all of them on, you know, I stopped tumbling it a couple days ago, I was doing that deal.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and I feel good. It's my home, Ginger, and my people and my father, so people come out and
well, next time you make it for the Nevis Arama, you must say hello to me, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, have a good evening.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
I think it's a Nevis together, like Barbuda and Antigua.
Okay.
No separation.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Yes.
Look, like I've said, we are really attempting to equate a cricket game with the constitutional concept. the 66 and 2/3. We in the world, the framers, based on their wisdom and knowledge and
Let me
interpretation.
take this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
I will good night to you and Mr. Stanley and Mr.
Naya.
Naya. Naya, I read you.
Thanks.
I am going with you. I support you 110%.
Yeah, man.
We know how long more we want to work out what is to work out. Because if you work out before me, then we can work out again. I totally agree with you, Naya. Good night, all.
Thank you, sir, mate. So you see, I don't just speak for myself, Mr. Stanley.
Listen, you're still in a minority. You stay here and try and get secession across to those who agree with you. There are supporters, but the framers put in the Constitution a percentile amount.
Yeah, let me take this.
That's
Good
the
evening.
hurdle.
Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Yeah, good evening. I just want to say to the panel, I just want to say, I don't believe separation is the answer. That wouldn't help anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
66 and 2/3%. Naya, get real.
Good evening. Thank you for.
That's the wisdom of the framers.
Good evening. Thank you for
I
holding.
don't know what you're saying.
Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Yes.
You're on the air. Could you go ahead?
Yeah, so Stanley, I Stanley where Angela Pillay. Stop.
Thank you. Do you know why Anguilla pulled away? The question is
Simply because Anguilla felt aggrieved,
same way.
but they did it with insurrection. They, in fact, defied the forces
Yes.
and did what they did.
That's how burning the issue was for them.
I understand
They
that.
came to sink us in fishing boats.
I
They
understand
were
that.
serious.
I
They was, and that's just to show you the grip, the pain inflicted by these two little islands. But people like you is making joke with it, yeah, because you had a good life. People like you is making joke with it because you had a good life. Well, I've known this for so long, okay, that I personally would not waste another second.
Listen,
I could have done it with a magic wand.
Naya, let me say this.
Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Good night. I've been listening keenly, and everybody saying separation is not the answer. But if the people don't want separation, what happened to the money that we're supposed to get from St. Kitts? We have been independent for 39 years, and the only time we ever got the money we were supposed to get from St. Kitts is during unity, when Mr. Timothy Harris gave us 8% of the 25%. We didn't look up the 25%, you know. It's in the Constitution. It's supposed to be divided, and that's what they came up with. And they never, neither Simmons and Douglas, and none of them ever gave us anything. Timothy Harris gave us some, and he only grudgingly gave it to us because he was in unity. And he gave a little bit, and then he said, no more. It's because every time he give us something, it's $1 less for thinking. And as long as thinking people don't decide to do right by Navy people, we're going to always have moderation. And they better let it stay at moderation, and it don't go no further, because it's time after 39 years of independence that we do what is right. It means Sinkis people need to realize that their country is not Sinkis. Their country is Sinkis Nevis. And until they recognize that Sinkis Nevis means 100% for Sinkis and 100% for Nevis, the better lucky we ain't gone to violence yet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, thank you for holding.
Yeah, me again. He missed out that we were fear for Nevis coming from political whatever, right? Nevis and Sinkage trade. Because let me tell you something. I know people down here building houses or whatever, and they go to Nevis to buy the materials because they say down here too expensive. And now the Nevis more expensive than Sinkage. So I want to know what I know a poor lady struggling. She built a house, and a decent house enough to help she family and maybe rent out some. And she come near somebody, she come near somebody, she numbers them. So listen, I do want the politicians feel share business with that, eh? But I believe that with me, look at the vendors them. Sometimes most of the vendors them down here from they come down here every Friday, every Saturday, and actually we now vendors down here from me selling here. Actually we vendors down here, we vendors them sometimes pull up the market, them from Guyana, them from Guyana, them from Nivijan, real Nivijan, down Nivijan, and them support we. So, you know, I will be buying from them. We share with them. You can't share because as far as I can, so Nevis and Sinkage with this trading business. Sometimes we can't get things done when we come up Nevis and we buy it. Certain things we can't buy. So I will let you know when we get possession. If it's going to be an easy way out for Nevis.
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
And Maya,
okay,
that is your opinion, right?
Okay.
That is your opinion, but I want to know if the majority of the individual think like we think.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let me get another call. Good evening, thank you for holding. You got a minute.
Let me say again, never say never. Never say never. The younger people may be a little more aggressive, you know, but they are observing, and the discussion is quite more prevalent. Just like as Angola, and Nevis would have gone, you know, only because they were so near. The aggravations are the same.
Right, we
And
understand.
there seems to me to be little effort on the part of the Sinkage government, not in the Labour Party in particular, to try and mend fences. Because already you hear the same talk about they don't want nothing, they want one federation with Sinkage over Nevis. There's something called self-determination. No matter how small a country is, once the people are fueled by self-determination, it could happen.
Okay.
So while it may not happen in Niall's time, it is possible. I used to say it when I used to work in the planning unit and I working on these accounts and so, right? I said, you are sit down there. Nevis is preparing itself for independence.
Okay, caller?
All right then.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Well,
who's got the last
you hear
word?
the callers, Mr. Stanley, and there's a genuine feeling over here in Nevis that things are not good
I'm not saying
within
that.
the Federation.
I'm not saying that.
And it's going to be reflected, and it has been reflected in various celebrations of independence. We does not get involved emotionally. We are not happy in the Federation.
I'm not saying that things are good.
That's the last word. This program repeats tomorrow at 10 o'clock following the VON News Minute. Join the Honorable Mark Bentley tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock for On The Mark. Thank you all again for joining us. This is your voice in the community, thought that get results. You all have a wonderful evening.
Views and opinions expressed in the preceding program were solely